All right, we'll get started. I don't want to prolong this for too long. My name is Mehrose. I've been working at Kweller since 2016. In that time, I've tutored for SAT, ACT. I've prepared students' college applications, prepared students' applications for graduate school. And so I'm happy that I've had quite an expansive experience at Kweller. I started when I was in high school as a student at Townsend Harris. Later on, I went on to attend Barnard College, which is a liberal arts school, part of Columbia University. And today, I'm currently a medical student at Weill Cornell Medicine, which is also in the city. So Kweller and I have seen, various aspects of our journeys working together as she's been operating her business. I'm so happy today to be giving this talk on college supplements and sample questions. So the purpose of supplements is to really add information and specificity while supporting a cohesive application. And what I mean by that is that supplements provide a dedicated space for students to add character to their application, for students to add new pieces of information to their application that otherwise may not have been conveyed in the personal statement or in the resume or extracurricular section. We have to remember that the Common App is an application consisting of multiple components. There's a personal statement, there's a student's resume, there may or may not be standardized test scores. Therefore, each and every component of the application, we should do our best to really strengthen each and every component. And supplements provide a great way for the individual applying to institutions to have a direct way to improve their application. Some aspects we may not have control over, but this is an aspect where with time, dedication, and practice, we really can bring our application to the next level and make it stand out. So supplements really, they're meant to add information about the applicant. Specificity is also very important. A lot of supplements are crafted specifically to each school, and they have specific questions for every single institution that are separate. And it's really important to do your best to do your research and to really reflect the school's mission or the school's values in your supplemental responses so that you seem like the best fit for the school. Remember, the supplements are not only about you indicating your interests for the school, it's also about indicating that you are a good fit for the school. And it's also about indicating that the school will benefit from you being there, that the school should believe that you will be there and use their resources to move the school's name forward and just to develop into your own individual person. And so it's important to add information in a very specific way. And ultimately, all this comes together because we want to support a cohesive application. This is something I stressed in, I believe, my previous session. I'm not sure if you two were present, but we have to make sure that each and every component of our application is presenting different information about you, but all that information should connect. As a very basic example, if in your personal statement you say you want to be you want to pursue the liberal arts. But if in a supplement you say that you want to pursue pre-med studies at this institution, those things are not adding up. You want to make sure that you think about each and every aspect of your supplemental response so that it works with all the information that you've already given the institution. It shouldn't work against it, it should work with it. I'm also going to over a few sample questions today because the purpose of today is really learning about supplements and discussing how to approach these common answers. And I'm also going to go over examples as well. I have plenty of examples that I'm hoping are going to be illustrative to everyone here. A very common essay is the why essay. So a lot of schools will individually ask, why are you applying to so-and-so school? And again, if you think about it, this type of essay is very important because ultimately every student is applying to multiple institutions and every institution wants to know, why are you specifically applying here? Why are you specifically applying here? So as I already mentioned, specificity is really, really key in this type of essay because you need to demonstrate that you have serious interest in attending their school and you have informed yourself of all the opportunities available at the school for your application itself. Secondly, it's very important, and this is a very common trap that I see students falling in, that they do not build on one theme in the essay. I've seen so many students approach this question of why you want to apply to our school with a list of reasons. And the list can go from anywhere to location, to professors, to extracurricular opportunities, to student community, etc. And that type of list is unfortunately counterintuitive because although you're providing as much information as possible for the reader, that information is disorganized and doesn't come together. Again, remember, College admissions officers are reading this type of work in seconds to minutes. And unfortunately, when you put forth a list of some sorts, you aren't unable to really stick in their brain. Having something like a theme and building on that theme in multiple ways that are still interconnected allows you to communicate multiple things about yourself and about the school across, but having it organized by theme or topic ensures that the reader really gets a comprehensive understanding of your answer to the question. So I have an example of my why essay that I used to apply to Barnard College, which is the college I ultimately attended. If you know, I organize this in, somewhat of a traditional format of a few sentences of intro, few sentences of a conclusion, but my focus is on the curriculum. My focus is on how I want to use the curriculum and how I want to apply it to my interests, and how I also want to look at how I want to use the curriculum to leverage forward my own passions. So I've clearly mentioned, that I have a clear understanding of the values of the school. I mentioned that I have a clear understanding of the coursework and what the coursework would allow me to take away. And I also have explicitly mentioned, how I want to use this coursework in my future. So I've done all three aspects of the task at hand, which was communicate my interest in the school by indicating specificity, communicating to the school that I'm familiar with and I'm interested in taking advantage of their opportunities. And I've also made clear that the school will benefit from me being a student there because I will do so and so with the school's opportunities or teachings. Here I have another example of a why essay that I wrote for NYU. Again, similar format. I try to have an engaging introduction of a few sentences, an engaging conclusion, but ultimately I try my best to focus on themes. So my focus here was a liberal arts education, and I embed that in my interests into the major that they have. But again, I always use the liberal arts lens to describe my interests at the school. So again, I'm not just throwing a bunch of things in a list-wise format at them. I'm organizing my ideas in under a theme and communicating everything through that theme. This is just another example of a why essay, and I'm really hoping to show everyone here as many examples as possible so you can get an understanding of um how varied the questions may look like. As you can see, we've played around with different lengths. So I think Barnard's was around 100 to 250 words, NYU, if I'm remembering correctly, maybe around 400, and Tufts essay at the time of my application was 50 to 100 words. So as you can see, the same type of question is asked in so many different ways. And it's very important to be flexible in your writing and flexible in your approach to this. So where I had the luxury to, have a sentence or two of intro and a sentence or two of conclusion, I use that privilege. However, in a very short supplement like this of 50 to 100 words, I knew that I would be unable to really use that. So for this type of statement, I made sure to just go into the thick of it and just address the question head on. This is a very recent actually statement of a why school statement that I use, and it was actually for medical school, but I thought that this would be an excellent example for me to show here because ultimately it's accomplishing the same exact thing that I mentioned a college supplemental should accomplish. You want to be specific, you want to indicate how you are interested in leveraging the opportunities at the institution, and lastly, you want to make clear to the institution that you attending that school will benefit them in some way or that you are an excellent fit for the school. So once again, although, there was a significant amount of character space that I had here, where I could write about multiple things of why I want to attend Weill Cornell, I ultimately, again, thematically grouped my reasons into one. And that was the global nature of health and just the global nature of disease. And every single one of my points connected back to that idea. So once again, I want you all to think about a piece of paper that you're reading. If you're reading a piece of paper with one theme that has multiple examples, you may not remember the examples to a T, but what you will remember is that theme, that overall message, that overall idea. That will stick with you. On the other hand, if you read an essay that has not necessarily an organized theme, but does have a multiple reasons or multiple examples, you may fail to remember any example, you know, strongly, and you may not feel as strongly about that applicant. So just think about the perspective that you're conveying, and make sure to incorporate that in your writing. I wanted to make sure that I come across as a memorable, applicant. And so I thought the best way to do that is, again, organizing everything by theme and then being as specific as possible. So here, as you can see, I wrote, electives in 1 of 22 countries, supporting the Center for Global Health, engaging with this office. These are all things that I researched myself and pulled off the school's website. And it was really important, again, in building that theme that I found important. I saw all these research opportunities at the school, again, through the website, and this all really allowed me to come together and craft this application. Okay. Another common essay is called the challenge essay. So this will be a time where they ask you to demonstrate a challenge and talk about it. So I want to make a few things clear with this and a few tips that I think are really helpful. The first is I see students really struggle with understanding the definition of a challenge. And the honesty is, there is no definition that you need to follow. The reality is, your task is to convince the reader of a challenge to begin with. So your task is to convince the reader that, yes, this is the challenge that I faced. The second task that you have is to make sure that once you've established that challenge, you demonstrate growth or learning experience. So for example, this essay was basically a hidden challenge essay, right? So they're saying this alumni stated that she majored in unafraid. Tell us about a time when you majored in unafraid. So obviously, being unafraid requires you to overcome some challenge. So my responsibility was to talk about that. Now, I also mentioned, for those of you who were here with me at the beginning, I know we've had a few newly joined members. I mentioned at the beginning, the supplements are an excellent time for you to convey new information that may not be fully reflected on your resume to the school. So at the time of me applying to colleges, um I was heavily involved in a student newspaper, which was working endlessly to cover stories or incidents of a temporary interim acting principal at our school. There were numerous controversies surrounding this principal, in regards to her behavior, in regards to the decisions that she was making for the school. And given that I had the privilege to attend a school like Townsend Harris, which was very well known for its high standing, this controversy had a lot of implications. And as one of the lead reporters on the story, I basically was heavily involved in making these incidents aware to the school community and to the larger public. And I was very lucky to have a lot of my work picked up by national outlets, by news outlets, etc. So I thought that this would be an excellent opportunity. The supplements would be an excellent opportunity for me to convey all this work that I was doing. And I used this challenge essay to do so. So I made clear what the challenge is. Obviously, the challenge is, coming forward against a person in power and writing articles about them within the controversy as it's happening and as I'm attending that school in real time. But again, the growth is kind of depicted in this last paragraph, right? That despite these fears that are within this challenge, I continue pushing forward and I continue doing the work that I'm doing. So ultimately, through this type of prompt, I made sure not only to answer the question, but I answered the question in a way that allowed the reader to learn something new about me that wasn't necessarily fully reflected on my application itself through the resume. Because this was a very newly developing experience that I was a part of. Okay, so this was the last example that I had. We went through one, two, three, four examples of the why essay and one example of the challenge essay. And I wanted to also quickly talk about the other examples of the essays here. A lot of the essays talk about community and diversity, so they'll ask you how you plan on uniquely contributing to the school or what you bring to the table. And a lot of questions surrounding this essay also, revolve around the fact that I don't think I'm so diverse, or I don't think that I have a lot to offer. The school already has so many amazing initiatives. And again, I challenge everyone here to recognize that the reality is, as human beings, we are not all as different as we think we are. And ultimately, We are very similar to the thousands or hundreds of thousands of other students that are also in high school, also pursuing extracurriculars, etc. The question is not what is unique about you, but rather what is unique about your perspective. And that is something unique about all of us because we have different experiences, we have different upbringings, cultural backgrounds, etc. And all that influences the way that we see ourselves and the way that we see the world around us. So for a community and diversity essay, you may think there's nothing diverse about me. However, I challenge you to question that idea and really think deeply about your experiences and how your worldview may not be the same as others. And so this is a very common type of question. Question 3 is another example of a question that may be asked. So this is generally about your extracurricular activities, your work experiences. They'll simply ask you to elaborate on it. And again, this is an excellent example where everything that you say on paper should match. So obviously you should talk about an experience and make sure it reflects how you've described it earlier. But again, this is an opportunity they're giving you to talk about yourself. So make sure you produce new information, indicate new things about yourself to them to come off as an impressive applicant. You don't want to reiterate what's on your resume. You want to really think about the most effective way to communicate your experiences. So with that, I know we have a small audience today. And I was wondering if anyone has any questions that I can go over that I can help with. I'll give people a few minutes to use the chat feature to ask me any questions, but um, if not, then we can feel free to end it early today. Hi, Sharon. I see that you recently joined. We've actually gone through most of my presentation today, which was on college supplements and sample questions. I just to reiterate, since I know a few people joined very last minute, we talked about the purpose of supplements, which is to really add information, specificity, and support a cohesive application. We went through a lot of sample questions and made sure to talk about the aspects you should incorporate in your answers to your questions, including specificity and really building on one theme for your why school essay. We went over a few examples of that, and we also went over a challenge essay, which was whose goal is to demonstrate a challenge and demonstrate growth or learning from that challenge. So we've gone over a lot of samples as of yet, and I wanted to open the opportunity for anyone to ask questions here. So does anyone have any questions? Please let me know. Okay. Since we have a lot of time, I'll just go over one other source that I think will be helpful in just talking through supplements. Um, so what I want everyone to understand is that every supplement type will be different. There may be schools that ask you to write a full 600-word essay. There may be schools that ask you to write the answer to the question in 500 words, or there may be schools asking you to write the answer to the question in 100 to 250 words. So we've already gone over the importance of making sure that your writing is flexible and you're able to transition between having the same question asked in each of these different word counts. And something that I really want to stress, and something that I can perhaps show everyone here is the fact that you need to make sure you are organizing yourselves appropriately. So when I was applying to college, I created a specific Google folder that I then made sure to keep organized and keep updated with all of my application materials. So I can show everyone here that now. Um, so as you can see, I had a college folder and I organized each college that I was applying to by deadline. So the RD standing for regular decision. And these are other deadlines that I had to meet. And then each college had a folder with supplements for every single school. And I wrote all the questions, their word counts, and I was drafting everything here. So this is going to be very important when you're actually applying because each college is going to have their individual unique requirements for writing, and you need to make sure that you fulfill those requirements. Otherwise, your essay will not be eligible for submission. Secondly, we already talked about like actually all of these types of essays. We talked about the why us essay, tell us more about extracurricular, tell us about the major you're interested in and diversity. So again, it's very important that you just understand that this essay space is for you to indicate your interest and to indicate what's unique about you. Um, and again, to apply all that to the institution. So once again, this is a sample essay from Columbia to talk about your previous experiences and how they attract you to your area of study. So as I already mentioned, everything should match. Your previous experiences should, relate to what you want to study, and you should be able to talk about that in an appropriate way. So this student, as you can see here, talked about their hopes and aspirations for at Columbia. They also talked about their previous, experiences. And if you can see here, they're not necessarily super academic, but the point is that they're conveying their interests, they're conveying who they are as a person, they're conveying what they hope to do at Columbia and what they want to do with it. So they've done all the tasks at hand. They've showcased information about themselves. They've showcased their interest and information and dedication to the school. And they've indicated to the school, how can the school benefit from me? The school will benefit from a student like this person because this person is able to dabble in multiple interests and make the most of those multiple interests, despite having, very interesting STEM ambitions, like perhaps pursuing medical school. Okay. So with that, I think that that was most of my presentation. We had such a small group today that I finished early. But again, if anyone does not have any questions, they can feel free to leave the group. But if they do, I'd love to help answer some questions in the time that we have. And you should be able to use the chat feature for questions. So I'll give it a minute or two, and if not, we can end it for tonight. Okay. Well, it seems like there aren't any questions. So not only do we have a small audience, but a quiet one. So then I wish everyone the best of luck with the college application process. I want to make evident the numerous services that Kweller Prep offers for the college application, which includes personalized essay help, not only with the supplements, but also with the common application. We also provide resume services, and I actually typically provide most of these. Um, Again, along with a standardized test prep, we really believe in crafting a holistic application and making sure that every aspect of your application is strong. And so not only do we provide test prep, but we provide all these personalized services where a tutor individually works with the student to craft a statement or to craft a multiple supplemental responses. I've been really lucky to work with students on not only applications for college, but also applications for graduate programs like dental schools and other programs. And my personal experience, applying to colleges and applying to medical schools all on my own has been really influential in the tutoring that I do. So I'd really love to see some of you students or to see some of you at our center to take advantage of all the amazing tutors that are really, dedicated to helping everyone here. And with that, I'd like to again thank everyone for coming out tonight, and I hope that the webinars that we've been conducting are helpful. We'd really love if you could take out the time to perhaps leave a Google review for us or to review our business. We're doing all these webinars online over Zoom so that we can provide this information to you all in an accessible way. We know that, not every school talks about these specific tips and tricks. And so we want to really bridge that gap by providing these services to you all and really giving you all a sense of what our tutoring looks like. So once again, thank you so much, everyone. And I hope that this was helpful and have a great rest of your night. Bye-bye.